What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. In today's video, we're going to be talking about everything that happened in the market today. The stock market broke all-time highs again today with the SPY closing just under $409. We have some very interesting news with cruise lines, Powell, and then Netflix. And at the end of today's video, we have a $4.1 million trade that expires next Friday, April 16th. With that being said, if you guys are new to the show, consider subscribing. We post brand new videos every single day. But with that being said, Tom, what happened in the market today?
Yeah, the big news, I think, is that Florida actually sues the CDC to allow cruises to resume U.S. sailings, and the industry also asked to be treated just like the airlines. And this could be huge for NCLH, RCL, and CCL. And we can see that today CCL actually took a dip from this news, but it might actually help them in the longer term. And I think that the big thing is that Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis, actually ripped the CDC today, saying that we don't believe the federal government has the right to mothball a major industry for over a year based on very little evidence and very little data. And he went on with much more stuff than just that. But CNBC reports that while airlines are able to fly across the world during the pandemic, and the airlines are also allowed to be full of people, like they're allowed to go on full flights, the cruise industry, which has had over 100,000 American jobs in it before COVID happened, has faced a whole year without any trips out of U.S. ports. And that's a pretty big thing, that these companies like RCL and CCL are having a lot of problems right now leaving the U.S. ports. And I think that's why Ron DeSantis is suing them. And I think it might end up helping these cruise lines in the longer term, but in the shorter term, it might actually hurt them.
Very interesting. So if we look at some of their stocks, like CCL, for example, they've been doing pretty well over the past 2 weeks. We can see CCL went from lows of around $24 all the way up to highs of $30.63. We have NCLH doing pretty well too, and then even RCL. So overall, we'll definitely be monitoring this situation. But then I also heard that we have some pretty interesting news with Netflix.
Yeah, this is actually huge. Netflix struck a deal for streaming the rights to Sony films, including things like Spider-Man movies and stuff like that, according to CNBC. And as part of this partnership, Sony will offer Netflix a first look at any of the films it's planning on taking directly to streaming, or if it decides to later license them to the streaming service. And Netflix is also committed to make a number of these films over the course of a deal. So it sounds good. Netflix and Sony are going to be working together, and Netflix is even going to be making some of Sony's movies, maybe in their studios and stuff like that. So it's just great to hear. And Netflix is right around the resistance, around 555 to around 550.
Awesome. I think that's actually great news. Like you said, Netflix had a pretty good day today. In the past week, it went from $500 to highs of around 555, you can say. So I think it looks pretty good, and I'm sure this will definitely help them through the long term.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been a lot of resistance at that level in the past as well, at that 550 level. And we're just about to go above that. Watch out again for 575 once we break this. But there's a lot of resistance right around these levels. And I think that with this good news, we might see Disney finally come back up towards highs, maybe around 593. Now, I'm not saying to go out tomorrow and go all in on calls, because it might not happen right away, but I think that this will help them out, especially in the shorter term.
All right, just making sure. You mean Netflix, right? You mentioned Disney.
Yeah, Netflix. Sorry, I meant Netflix. We've been talking so much about Disney lately as well. Their charts are pretty similar, but they both have good streaming services, is why I got them confused.
Sounds good. And then what happened with Powell today?
Yeah, he actually said that confidence in resuming economic activity will depend on the global coronavirus vaccination efforts, as well as world leaders moving forwards with efforts to dig out some of the economic crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic. So he's pretty much saying that if everybody gets vaccinated and we start to see vaccines going all around the United States, and the majority gets vaccinated, then he's saying that that's going to really help the economy, as we're going to be able to open things up and start to move forward to actually dig ourselves out. Now, with the markets dug itself out and it's doing pretty well, but the economy overall still hasn't been doing too good. The jobs reports aren't looking too good, but there's going to be a lot of good things coming out, I think, with the jobs reports over the next couple months.
Very interesting. So there wasn't any major news with that event. So, it was awesome to see the S&P 500 break all-time highs again today. It has some pretty solid momentum going into tomorrow. But, the SPY actually just had an amazing close. Like we said, we are at all-time highs in the tech sector. Out of basically every other sector, has just been doing so well this week. And, even if you look at Apple, I was watching this stock a lot earlier this week, and I saw a lot of calls being bought up on it. So, what do you think about this one? I was actually eyeing it out, and I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, especially intraday, it looks good. At the end of the day, it passed right above 130.40, and it's just a fantastic consolidation area here. At the end of the day, it looks pretty good, very bullish, just like the SPY and the QQQ was at close. And just like you said, Apple's been looking great on the daily chart. It really bounced good off that 120 support and started heading back to the upside. And it looks like we're really starting to break back out here. I would really expect this maybe to hit 134 tomorrow, I would think, just given the movement that we're seeing right now.
Sounds great. Well, let's get right into our member of the day and the momentum plays. With today's member of the day, we have Great Trade at 20. So huge shout out, Great Trade. This person is always asking great questions in the Discord and just is a very positive Discord member. So huge shout out, Great Trade. Thank you so much for all of your positivity and all your great questions too. With that being said, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Apple.
Yep, and with Apple, make them break above 130.52, which is the high today in after hours. And if they break above that, then make them break above 131.
All right, and then we have Shopify. And then before we cover Shopify, I could see that we have a really strong resistance right around 1300 to like 1280. So I know we still have like I don't know, like $80 to go before we get there, but definitely watch out for that resistance.
Yeah, I really like Shopify. Watch out for that resistance, like Mike said, but make them break above 1225 tomorrow. And if they break above 1225, then like he said, watch out for those higher resistances around 1280. And this stock really likes to move.
Yep, sounds good. And then with the next one, we have CGC to the downside.
Yeah, CGC unfortunately is not doing too well. A lot of people expected these cannabis stocks to be doing a little bit better, but make them fall below $28 even.
All right, and with the last one, we have AT&T.
Yep, with I can't believe this one took a big tumble today, but they did pay that dividend. Make them fall below 29.93, which is right below 30.
All right, so we are eyeing Apple and Shopify for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they can break above the levels Tom listed. And then we are eyeing T and CGC to the downside tomorrow, only if they can break below the levels Tom listed. But now let's get right into the $4.1 million trade for next Friday, April 16th. We are looking at the Square 260 strike calls that expire next Friday, April 16th. There was $4.1 million put into this play. The option is less than $1 out of the money, and it has a decent amount of time. So I really would not be surprised if we saw Square continue up. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. It looks like they're definitely playing a continuation play here. It looks like that they might pass above this resistance, and they just did at close here, but there's a big resistance around 259 to 260. So watch out for that. But it looks like you said, they're longing these, and it looks like it's just starting to break out with the overall market, and especially on that daily chart. Square just looks fantastic to the upside, that is.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a little bit of resistance right at 260, if you see that. And then their all-time highs are a little over 280, and that would definitely be a really strong resistance. But I do know that they're definitely a solid company. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do for next week. But it's definitely a setup I'm going to have my eye on. But with that being said, let's get right into those questions from the previous episode. With the first question, we have Michael saying, always enjoy the videos. What are your thoughts on Beyond? So, Tom, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, for the longer term, I think that this is going to be a pretty good company as we go forward. I personally, I'm not a big fan of like like the vegetarian meat, like the non-meat beef. but people do like it, especially vegetarians. I know my dad has a few health problems and he can't even eat meat anymore, so he definitely likes it. But I will say, I think for the longer term, they're going to be pretty good, and they're also right at support. So I think it's not a bad time to honestly sell some cash secured puts if you were going to like them for the longer term.
I'm pretty neutral on this one. Their max weekly chart looks okay. I think they're in a great sector. I think the sector has a lot of room for growth, which is great to see. But like Tom just said, I think cash secured puts would definitely be the way to go. Let's say they fall down to 120 or $100. You might have an opportunity to sell a cash secured put, at the 100 strike, and you might collect, a couple $100 in premium. So, if there's an opportunity like that, I would consider doing something like that. But I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan, but I'm also I'm not bearish on them. So I'm just gonna stay neutral. If a great opportunity comes up, I'll definitely consider getting in it. With the next question, we have Blake saying, what do you think about long-term calls on AMWL? So AMWL, I'm not a huge fan of this one. Yeah, I really don't like their chart. Their options are a little bit expensive too. It can work out. They have resistance at like $22.50. So maybe it's okay for a dip buy, but it's not a setup for me.
Yeah, me either. It doesn't look like too good of a company, and they are pretty low right now. So just be pretty careful with it. I get why you want it because you can buy it low and then sell it if it pops back up, but it might not pop back up. So just be careful.
And then what you could always do is just sell cash secured puts. So if we go back to that chart AMWL, its options are pretty expensive, and right now it's at $17. You can say you can go out to the May 21st expiration, and you could sell a 15 strike put. Basically, if the stock is below $15 on May 21st, you have to buy 100 shares at 15. If it's at any price above that, you're going to keep about $90 worth of premium. So I think that might be a pretty good way to go too, just to give you more options. With the next question, we have Kumar asking about Boeing for the short term and the long term. So, Tom, I know you have been talking a lot about Boeing and Lockheed Martin, so I'll let you cover this one.
Yeah, I really like both of those companies. Back to the upside here. If Boeing can break back above 260 in the shorter term, I'd be a lot more bullish on them, and I'd look at getting some calls on them. But until they break above that, I'm not going to be looking at them too hard. But it was very bullish today, and they had a very good close. So they could possibly break that 260 to 260.50 level tomorrow, I think. And then also for the longer term, I think I think it's a great company to pick up for the longer term. It is a little high right now relatively to where it's been over the past year. It could possibly fall back down maybe to $200 if we see the market come back down as well. But I think that Boeing will definitely recover over the next few years, possibly back up to 300 or even higher, like 350 or even 400. And one that I like even more is Lockheed Martin, like you said, Mike. I think that play has just been fantastic. It's just been ripping up. I personally sold mine around 375 at that resistance, but it's still ripping up.
All right, with the next question, we have P asking about Citigroup, or ticker symbol C. So they have a pretty strong resistance right around 75, and they also have a pretty strong support, you could say right around 65. So it is in a channel right now. It also has another support around 70. I think it could be great if it breaks above that resistance right around 75 or $76. They do have earnings coming up though, so until it either breaks out or breaks down, I would be pretty neutral on it. So what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty neutral as well. Especially with how Powell and them have been talking. The banks have been doing pretty well this year, and if anything changes, then the banks might have a little bit of a downturn. And I would think that that would happen eventually here, just given how much that they've recovered, that they would have to give something back to the market here.
With the next question, we have Royal saying, can you guys review TM? So this is Toyota. If we look at their max weekly chart, they're kind of slow and steady up, which is great to see. Overall, they look pretty good. They're pretty close to all-time highs. Let's take a look at their shorter term chart. I mean, it looks pretty good. One thing is that there are a lot of gaps in the chart, so it might be a little bit weird to trade them, I guess, because their chart's definitely a little funky. But I don't know. They're definitely not like a traditional trade. You can say there's so many gaps in the chart. What do you think?
Yeah, there's so many gaps, and they're also a foreign company as well. They're based out of Japan, so definitely watch out for that. And I think that's why their movement has been so strange. And I think that if you were going to play this, I would definitely just play it for the longer term. I wouldn't try to do any short-term day trades on this or anything.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Like, I think it could be good for the long term, but for the short term, I don't. I think there's a lot better opportunities. With the next question, we have Maverick asking about the cannabis stocks on sale. So, the first thing that comes to mind, we have CGC. I was looking at this one for cash secured puts. It's down around 5% today. We have APHA, which is up a little bit today, but it's just been doing nothing. We have that MJ ETF. And then, Tom, I know that you were talking about, like, what was that MJ stock you were talking about? It was like Planet 13 or something like that.
Yeah, it was Planet 13. Let me actually get the ticker really quick. Planet 13 stock. Let's see. It's PL. Let's see. PLNHF. That's where I went wrong. Yeah, they're actually doing great. This is Planet 13, and they actually have a dispensary in Las Vegas, and I think it's the biggest dispensary in the United States. But this stock has actually been ripping up over the past few days, while CGC and the others have actually been going down. So this might be a pretty good option, actually. And keep in mind that a lot of these MJ stocks like CGC and ACB and stuff, those are actually Canadian marijuana stocks. PLNHF is actually an American marijuana stock.
Very interesting. And if we look at like the MJ ETF, like if you kind of just want to get like a mix of a bunch of them, this ETF just kind of holds a bunch of different stocks like that. So that can be good. One of my favorite ones out of all of these stocks are APHA. They are relatively stable compared to the other MJ stocks. But yeah, they're definitely pulling back a little bit. And I think that if they continue to fall, I think cash secured puts can do pretty well. I was looking to do some cash secured puts on CGC if it can fall down to like $25 or so, depending on how the options are priced.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the best one to get, like you said, might just be the MJ ETF, because then that way you're getting the best of both worlds. And I'm sure that their holdings include the Canadian and the American companies.
For sure. Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
Yeah, like I talked about yesterday, I think that right now there's a lot of opportunity in the market with some of these indices like the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. I really like the QQQ. It's getting close to all-time highs at 338.19. We're not far off from it right now. So watch out tomorrow if we see a big rise out of some of these tech stocks like Amazon, Netflix, tons more, AMD, Nvidia. If we see those sectors really boom tomorrow, the QQQ might break all-time highs. So definitely have your eyes out, and just keep in mind that it's going to be a pretty volatile day, I think, with it being Friday.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, day trades, swing trades, and access to our bots, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. And while you're in the description, don't forget to subscribe to our new channel, Stocked Up Live. We're going to be live streaming very, very soon, so make sure to subscribe to that channel. And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.